All right, let's jump into it. 11:34 on 15th of November. Wow, this month is just ticking through quick. All right, let's get into it. Let's start off where we normally do, DXY. So this was everybody knows this thing has just been on an absolute rampage. Look, I don't need to do the recap of how we got to this point, but as you can see, these little moves through here just keep coming, keep coming, keep coming, and that. And one thing I've kind of noticed, sort of with these moves, the pullbacks have been very shallow. So I won't bother going through the whole move because everybody knows about this and that. And whoops, we've got all the sort of, the election move, the pullback, this one was quite a deep pullback here, the 61%, big reload, and then bang, and we've just been on an absolute charge since. And the thing is, okay, so when you're using fibs, you can sort of like, obviously sort of stand right back and go, okay, yep, there's the top, there's the bottom, here's the top, and let's see how deep pullbacks are coming. And as you can see, if we look at this entire move through here, clip that sort of 23% and bounced off pretty well, and obviously through this sort of area that we previously sort of identified as a bit of a resistance zone. Um, but if we sort of get in and actually look at each of the individual legs, so if we drag this down, and so at one point this was the high. This was the sort of like, here's a breakout push, and we've moved up here. As you can see, 23%. Then obviously broke through, made a new high, 23%, very bullish momentum. So this is your new high, this point just here. You look at the sort of pullback here. This is where we were looking for something at least back to say the 38, the retest of these areas. Didn't even do that. Barely sniffed it at a sort of a pullback, or yeah, not back test. It didn't even come to a back test, but didn't even come to this level over here. So this is obviously previous highs. It's still super bullish. It's less than 23%. Didn't even do that. So it just went and just kept on going. So, you can tell bullish momentum. It means there's a lot of buying pressure in that. It means that sort of people aren't waiting to sort of see if they get a better price because they know it's going up over here anyway. So it doesn't matter whether you buy here, 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 here. You just don't want to miss out. You just want to keep buying it. And that's what people have been doing and charging through. So if we look at each individual leg, so where's that little fib? Just trying to trying to keep the charts clear. But obviously, the main thing is to, I think, to get all the previous fibs off. Fibs are things that make the charts look incredibly messy. But if we look at this little move through here, so let's get this out of the way so we find the true bottom. There's this little wick down here. This move through here is the first time we've actually seen something somewhat significant of a pullback. Because as I said, look, if we sort of go back and look at these sort of legs through here and sort of say, okay, if we're just looking at this particular leg through here, this is that little fake out move that we sort of came down here, bear trapped, and then sort of moved up to the top side there. If we take from that low over here, we're seeing a 50% sort of pullback. Now, it doesn't mean that, this is the top kind of thing. Like, we got to a very, very sort of crucial area on a couple of things actually. So the euro, obviously, which makes up a lot of the DXY, hit 105, which is very, like, apart from the fact that it's a massive round number kind of thing, but it's a crucial support for it there, and it bounced. It bounced quite well as well. It bounced about 80 points off the lows, and that sort of contributed to this sort of little pullback area through here. We didn't see other things like Aussie and that appreciate so much. Metals did actually sort of spark up and respond a little bit, and they held much of their sort of bounce gains. So I'll get to those in a moment. But obviously DXY came back into this area, 50% of this last leg through here bounced back up. This is on a 1 hour, so it's not a massive sort of thing. We are at this point seeing, sorry, yep. So make sure the fans are still moving on the computer. Things seem to slow down a bit sometimes. Let me make this. Currently, we are looking at this, even though it didn't technically. Sorry, no, not technically because it didn't actually make a new high. But as you can see, back up to this top area. Buying pressure on its way up. It is still sort of in that sort of bullish momentum. So it's not enough to sort of say that this is a negative divergence. If this is sort of or crosses over, so sort of gets to this sort of 50, 60 mark and then sort of rolls over, then you could say, okay, hold on, wait, maybe we've got something here. But as is at the moment, it's moving towards what potentially could be a negative divergence, but didn't put in a new high, and also this is still moving up. So I wouldn't say it's yeah, that's a little bit sort of getting ahead of ourselves actually. Anyway, point being is where we've stopped here. If we zoom right out and we go way back here, these are the highs from November last year. So a big one was closing this gap, which we sort of had from last year, which I guess technically that would have been your close line. So your gap technically would have been like from here. Oop, would have been technically that. I mean, yes, that's the gap there, but if you think about it, that's the close, that's the open. So if we say 106.90 is that area, it's actually sort of come right up here and it's closed that gap. Uh, as I said, I covered this yesterday. I'm not a big one necessarily for gaps on FX and that, except for the sort of intraday kind of stuff. But I'm shocked. I thought that was just going to be a runaway gap. And obviously it's come back here. I mean, look at the angle of this thing coming up here. I did cover this yesterday. Just put a little post on X and that if you look at this move, we get like down 15 minutes, really sort of showed it. This move up here, this is the point that I sort of put it on. Like, this is okay. This is an explosion. It's taken off, going boof through the top side over here. Maybe some reason for this. I'll have to have a quick look around. But this move through here, I put it on X because it was just ridiculously, like, you know what I mean? Sort of to come up like this angle like this, no news-driven thing. It's just, okay, here we go, 7 o'clock, a bit into the Euro session, and just go straight vertical up like this. That's kind of stuff's not sustainable. And as you can see, resulting action, bang, smash back down kind of thing. So, look, I'm not game to sort of say that is the top at the moment, but I feel we are potentially seeing some parts of the market jump off here, whether they're sort of closing their positions or whether people are trying to sort of get a little bit short on these things. Not 100% sure. We'll have to sort of wait and see. But as it is right now, I mean, obviously it's sparked back. I'll have to sort of pause this once I see if I can see anything here. So just yeah, because we move on here. So 7 a.m. So this is Powell talking. Oop. So it's got a couple of alerts going off. Uh, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, Powell talking at 7 o'clock. So I'll have a quick look through if we can find what's he had to say. All right. So this is basically what I've sort of seen just now. Economy not sending any signals that we need to hurry into lowering rates, and that's pretty much in a headline, a summary of why we saw this move here. Bang. Because, of course, remember, sort of like lowering rates is what's going to weaken the currency. If he's coming out there saying, hey, look, we're in no rush, well, people are going, well, hold on, wait, like, we're pricing in the idea of another 25 base point cut. Bang, spark back up. So general price action was obviously seeing a little bit of a sell-off come down here through as it has sort of closed that gap. Obviously, a little bit of a bounce, and then Powell, boom, really sort of hammered it back up to the top side here. So you got to sort of think, sort of like, the way forward here, obviously, is just across this zone over the top here. Through the zone here, obviously, as I showed a second ago, through the daily highs, and bang, on it goes with it all. The other side of this is this okay, just a quick little knee-jerk reaction to those comments? Like, does that really change the whole landscape? We're going to have to wait and see what happens sort of through, open and that today. But Asia has been a little bit tricky recently in that it's either sort of been dead or moving in sort of, a bit of a fake direction, only just to be, excuse me, sort of doubled up and sort of rectified through sort of Euro and US sessions. So a bit of a tough, but I'd say these are your two levels that you're looking for in the immediate. If we see sort of a bit of a pullback down over here underneath, say 106.80, just to be sort of on a little bit cleaner side. It's on the 15 minutes, get on something a bit more reasonable. But yeah, let's say underneath 1080, then obviously we're looking down at 106. 47 or 106.50 just to make it easy, this kind of area down here. So there are your two levels here. We're seeing a little bit of a push up, obviously, as this is opening up now. But if we go through the top here, well, I think this is just a brief little pause, and we're going up to probably mid 1.7s or so to sort of come through here. If we do sort of start to cool back down here, you're probably looking potentially another reaction as you do get back down here. So down to this zone and then a bounce through here. If we do go up through here, I'd like to sort of say, okay, you'd go through here, you'd backtest and you'd go like that. But given sort of price action recently with DXY, it's probably more sort of like, you go up through here, this, and then you just rocket through to the top side here, because again, these previous highs are going to hold some stops as well. So it's going to be some areas around there to keep an eye on. So just going to try and manage a few positions at the same time. So yes, look, let's say we've got 15 minutes or so till this actually sort of comes out and sort of gives us a bit more of a direction. These little sort of flare up the things here. I've noticed with this particular chart as TVC, they'll open up about 15 minutes prior. And so you see these little moves like this kind of thing give you a bit of an insight as to where it might be sort of going. But these moves can obviously sort of bounce back down a little bit as well. So we'll see if this is true or if it sort of bounces back. But yeah, I think the main levels we're looking for is above 107, on with the show. Below 1680, you're looking at sort of retesting yesterday's lows. I don't see us, unfortunately, sort of getting down underneath this level at the moment. Particularly with those sort of comments, I think that's going to have some sort of filtered out effect. Yes, you got the knee-jerk reaction here, but I think that's still going to have enough to sort of keep it a little bit buoyant just for the time being. Just quickly flip across, have a look at what the rates are doing. So this is the 10-year yield, which is obviously sort of giving us a little bit of an idea about the sort of the sort of the bond market, but also the yields. And this is basically the strength of US dollar here. We can see it sort of bouncing back over here. We're coming into some very sort of crucial resistance levels, being a sort of big falling resistance, which obviously it's rejected from twice now. And we'll sort of see if this sort of continues forward. But a bit of a tough read to sort of thing, because I mean, like they say, it's very difficult to call tops and all this kind of stuff. It's very risky to do as well. Same with calling bottoms, really. But yeah, we'll see how this DXY action goes. Gold sparked back to life a little bit here. We can see that if we sort of update this a little bit better, we can see that this is, trying to sort of get up there, but obviously, so it's been bashed down so much. You want to see some sort of continuation through here. And yeah, we can see 7 o'clock again. We were at 76, dropped back down to 62. So yeah, that effect is just having a bit of a sort of dampening effect on the market, albeit not as bad. If we have a look at sort of say Aussie got demolished through that and put in brand new lows. Euro came back, I think about sort of 60 points or so. Obviously, sort of, we've seen a little bit of a pullback here. But of that bounce, still in 38%. So, market is still saying, hey, look, you know what, we're happy to buy it a little bit, or at least hold it here for now. Again, same sort of thing. You just want to take out those bounce highs to see if we're going to get any sort of continuation to this move. It's a lot of work that needs to be done for gold. So, I think till you start getting up to these higher sort of levels, it's really still at the point of, okay, let's let it run, bang, sell into. Only once you start breaking higher levels, are you going to see people sort of start to sort of panic and go, okay, hold on, wait, maybe there's a bit of a bigger bounce coming here and a bit of a squeeze coming. Because remember, this has come down 200 points, $200 in, 15 days or something now. So this has been an incredible trade, and anybody that caught the short side of this, hats off to them. One thing to keep in mind with this as well, and this is why it's always important to look at a couple of these charts. We've got gold silver ratio. So all my charts are a bit bashed around at the moment. In orders, I mean. So we've got gold silver ratio. which is respecting the chart very well. So this is what I've been sort of calling this whole way through here. I did say the 24th. I realized I looked at one. I got the month wrong. Oh no, I got the month right. But I said November 24th, which obviously hasn't even happened yet. But November 24th of the year. Start of the month there, we saw this big negative divergence coming up in here. This is very much a line in the sand for the gold silver ratio. We've seen this obviously lower buying pressure, and this is why I say sometimes you don't need a strict sort of like textbook uh, negative divergence all the way like this. Like this doesn't need to be putting in highs for this to be able to be called pretty much a negative divergence, or not to be a useful one anyway. Because as you can see here, each time it came back up to these highs here, here, here. I mean, look at the corresponding highs. They were all moving down. Even though it was sort of coming back up to the same level as the previous highs, it was on lower pressure. And look at the result, bang, push back down. Yes, it did come up here one more time, and this is something to keep in mind because this obviously did get a touch higher than those previous efforts. But again, same level, got to the top there, lower buying pressure than certainly what it took the first couple of times to move up. We saw sort of like back over here, and this is back down at 84. And smacked on the nose again. So I think this is really your little area that we're looking for at the moment. I think if it can sort of get above it, well, metals, you're probably looking for another leg down. Um, Breakout box here. If we do get back down below here, there's a small level of support down under here, which could provide for a little bit of a sort of a break retest and then a double sort of lower low. This could be something that we look for. But I think sort of at the moment, it certainly looks like with everything going on with like US dollar and all this kind of sort of stuff, it does look like it wants to range a little bit. But remember, moving down here is ultimately going to be better for metals. So if we see these levels break, this is what's going to sort of start to show gold and silver starting to do a little bit more of a recovery. Because down under here, maybe a little bit of support through here, but not really. I'll probably actually even maybe move this down a little bit here. I think that's probably a better level because as we can see, we got over here. This one should have been blue as well. But you can see, this level save through here obviously used itself as a resistance a few times here. Through here, and even just a little back test on the back way up there. So I would say enough to sort of say that this is probably the course of action for a downside move if we do see this come through here. So gold running, silver running, I imagine this to be playing out to the downside through here. It has been given a few shots to try and hold a bit of a sort of rising. This could be, if you looked at this sort of thing just by itself, this looks like a ascending triangle. Bias moving up, holding the line, broke it, retest, underside, bang, down here. Tried to hold this line as well, as you can see, this little sort of rising support through here, that as well has broken now. So I would be sort of more on the side that this is probably sort of being given enough chances to break higher, and it's failed on a number of them. This is the time I would say we're probably looking to see a move down here. All right, flip across, we got Aussie, which is just getting absolutely pulverized. It just can't get out of its way. This was the same as we saw with this sell down. Let's get on the higher time frame. Actually, no, we are on the higher time frame here. This sell down through here was just ridiculous. This move through here is ridiculous. Look, you can't chart anything that really respects this. Like that's one thing I've sort of noticed through this period. It's sort of like trying to sort of do these bits. This little bounce through here was amazing. This is great. And then obviously subsequently, bang, we're seeing this little sell down here. Like this bounce through here. That's about the high there. We're at past the 127 of that bounce, and that was the election move. That's the pullback there. So, given when US dollar does sell off, remember US dollar came back 61% of that election move. Aussie outperformed drastically because it sort of came back 1.127% of that move. Of course, we've seen then US dollar go on a rampage and Aussie dollar being absolutely pulverized. But the point, I mean, is if they do see, when we do see a sell-off, there will be a sell-off. As to matter as to when the high comes in, well, that's, everybody's having a guess at that. But as you do see that come in, Aussie will appreciate. Like, it's not going to go down forever. We do have a couple of levels of support through here where you'd want to see it. Look, this is a little bit of a range. Put it on the daily, might see it a bit better. You can see through a daily, this is a little bit of a range for a bottom back in April. The big sort of sell-off in, was it August? Yeah, August didn't really sort of respect this at all. But if we get down on a smaller time frame, we can actually see that it did actually find some support at this 64.40 level. So this little level through here, obviously the big sell down. Wow, I've covered this a few times, but that sell down was just, every time I look at the phone, it was drop, 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 drop. I mean, look at this, just for fun. Well, fun depending on what side you're on of it. This is on a 30-minute candle, so it went from, so in 1 hour, it moved 2%. That's just insane. But as we see, the bounce came back up. Yeah, bounce was pretty decent. But it did respect this level here. And this is why we have these little zones here as well. Because if you drill down onto the lower time frames, you can see, excuse me, that the market has respected this level, If we get onto the daily and then look back previously, it also had respected this level and respected this level. So even though it pretty much just, well, straight chopped through this area here, let's get rid of that, it on a smaller time frame, it has respected these. Doesn't mean it's going to be a bottom for it necessarily, but it gives you a little bit of an explanation as to sort of why the market is trying to then hold this level here. It also gives us a bit of a target. If we do break down here, where are we probably going? 64 cents is probably the next reasonable target. It's a big round number. We've seen the market respect it somewhat a little bit there. Underneath that, well, you've got your week lows, which are down at 63.30, which is, again, it's just insane. 600 points or so in a month is just insane. So anyway, long story short, it's trying to hold this sort of lows through here. Haven't fully got the negative divergence through here yet. It did just surpass the 78% of that massive sell down low to most previous highs. So we'll see if this holds through here. Really, at the moment, it's got so much work to do. But as you can see, even just since that election, I mean, it's dropped. This has just been a one-way trade, and this has just dropped, 3% in a week, 3.5% in a week. So, at some point, market's going to value this and say, hey, you know what? We'll probably see some value in the Aussie at this level. Doesn't mean it's going up to the top? No, not necessarily. But does it mean there is some upside moves? Well, potentially. And then you sort of start to think, where could it look? Okay, you could probably see a 100-point move back up to the top side over here, I'd say. Up to retest this level over here, this 65.50 level. Because, it's so drastically bashed. I wouldn't say oversold because it's not oversold. But if you do see a push up here, if we see a positive finish to the week, you may see a little bit of a flow through there. It's not going to go straight back up. But if we see US dollar sell off, if we see that little bit of a sub temporary high, you could see US dollar sell off. And as we just showed, when they do sell it off, Aussie does tend to outperform because we do have a hawkish central bank. So it goes to show that we're not even, or RBA is not even sort of considering cutting at this stage. If we get onto the smaller time frames, look at what we can sort of look for. So should expect a little bit of volume coming in a moment, just at 12 o'clock. It is holding this little zone through here. Pretty much those lows are where you want to sort of see it hold. What's that, 64.40. So let's see, this is a little zone. And then you want to see it. No, I wouldn't even say getting above this doesn't really even mean much because you're running straight back into the underside of this level over here. Really, till you get above maybe 64.70, and then really 64 and 65 is really the level you want to sort of see it be all the way back up over here. So a lot of work for Aussie to do, and it's just looking, yeah, just shocking at the moment. Again, you try to sort of chart these things a little bit. There's nothing that really tends to hold so much. All right, copper. Copper led the way yesterday with the break, so we actually finally got out of this little channel. As you can see, 10% in one direction from those highs. So it goes to show sort of like, when you're seeing these moves here, okay, this is the takeaway from this. This is obviously, we've covered this a number of times. Out the top, out the bottom, back up here, like these massive swings, what they're doing is they're clearing the book, in my opinion. So they're sort of clearing out the shorts here, clear, and then sort of drag in some longs, clear them out, stop those ones out, back up here, stop these people out, and then we see the actual move. Bang. So this is what I say with a lot of these things. Oil's typical for this kind of thing as well, in the sense that it's will sort of like just burn you out mentally, burn you out financially, and then you sort of see the move. And I'm full testament to this because I was burnt out mentally over here, just and I missed this move here, and I said I'm not chasing it. Then I was thankful to not chase it. Then I had a shot over here, and I got stopped out over here. Like, it's just been an absolute shit show. But look, it's come out of the channel. It's holding out of the channel at the moment. You do want to see a little bit of a continued push. That's the main thing. So if you put a little zone through here, you want to see some sort of continuation through this area. A lot of work to do, really, and realistically, in the sense of the pullback, the bounce over here so far. That's your move. Not even at the 23% yet. So a lot of work for it to do through here. But as I said, look, all these things will probably tend to run in conjunction. So if we see gold and silver give it a continued push to the top side, most likely we'll see copper move to the top side. And this again will add into the idea that maybe you might see Aussie move up a little bit and maybe sort of US dollar cool off a little bit. Alternatively, US dollar runs through, makes new highs. These all fail their little bounces, and potentially then we're looking at these lows for continuations to even sort of take it down even lower. Silver really making an effort. It has really sort of shored up this sort of line through here as the seller's line. This is the line to beat. As you can see, number of times. Gave it a good shot the other day. Really sort of a couple of times in a row. Went bang, 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 bang. Actually got outside it. But then, of course, there was a fake out move and it smashed everybody down. This time it actually closed outside it. Obviously, that power stuff is obviously sort of smacked it on the nose. As you can see, 7 o'clock, right on the dot, bang, knocked it back down. So, the kind of things you got to sort of, and I actually sort of didn't see that one on the docket. So that was a bit of a miss by myself there. But things to be aware of for sure. So this is a little zone. It's obviously trying to hold around this top area, excuse me, around this top area here. If it can get out of here, if it can make a new high, they're the highs that you kind of want to see it sort of really tackle and take on above, say, 31. If we could see that, I think this could be, this and copper can be like the little canary for the metals market. If we see these things sort of start to break and hold, then I think you could sort of say, okay, look, the whole sort of market may be sort of seeing a little bit more of a decent bounce. And then you can sort of put your actual fibs in. And you can say, look, even though it just went boom down on this angle here, take it from this high, that's where you're looking at. So 23% obviously still very much in a continuation mode, comes in very close to these highs over here, and then so on and so on. So just having a quick look now, yeah, not a great deal. As I said, 12:15 and 12:30 seem to be the sort of bit more of the volume part of the hours at the moment. So we'll see how that sort of goes. But look, it's making an attempt to get out of here. We are obviously in a little bit of a wedge, which is a fairly confirmed wedge through here, at least through this last period. So these are typical sort of reversal areas. So we have come off a very sort of strong sort of area if we've seen previous support, just down going back to September. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do see a little bit of a reprieve, even just a bit of a rebalancing. Because this has really been just such a one-way trade, like a lot of these things have. pretty much. China finally, and China it's found its resistance level, like it certainly knows where the sellers are, and this is the area for it to be. It's up into a high time frame sort of resistance. It's got its little sort of top area over here. This is the measured move actually, again from the Trump. I keep saying the Trump trade, but the election trade. So election trade up through here, pull back through here, bang, this is our top area over here, which is where the market's agreed. Yep, that's it. That's enough for us, and we're going to set it there. So look, same sort of deal with DXY. Look at those lows, and then sort of try and push down under here. I did say yesterday that I was following the fixing, so it did make a move down to it. Didn't quite tag it. So it'll be interesting to sort of see where they place that today, and I'll sort of cover this each day as well to sort of see how close we get to it because it seems to be a little bit of a magnet, which we can sort of try and use if if we see sort of the fixing sort of way off. So yeah, look, I think sort of through this rising support would be a little bit of your early indicator, but I think this level through here seems to be where you want to be able to sort of get down underneath because this will take it through this rising support, take it through this little horizontal area, which you can see resistance was then become support, and this could see us a little bit of a move back down here. But again, look, it's so bullish at the moment. Really, you need something out of like from the PBOC. You need them to sort of say, hey, look, you know what? We're keen to sort of really sort of pump up the economy, and we're not as dodgy as we say. Oh, well, they're not going to say that, but you know what I mean. To that effect, in that people want to see some confidence and assurity in these sort of things. So that'll sort of give a bit more confidence and a bit more strength to the yuan. But I think sort of certainly in the immediate, look, we're seeing a little bit of a sell-off as 12 o'clock comes in. And as I say, you see, I mean, Aussie's up a couple of points, it's up, 7 points off its lows. Gold's making a little bit of a push, 66 to 70. And silver's making a little bit of a push. But let's see how these things sort of play out. As I said, over the next hour, I think we should have a little bit of a better idea of things. Flip across, okay, so news. So, yeah, I have to admit, a bit disappointed with myself actually to have missed that sort of Powell speaking through that period there because obviously that did affect things a little bit. Caught the catch up afterwards. A little bit of China data out today. Look, a little bit of an expected tick up. These things coming in a little bit higher will be positive for the yuan. So it'll sort of probably give us that little pop to the downside if these do beat. Apart from that, not a great deal on the docket that I can really say. I mean, we've got GDP from UK, but it doesn't really affect what we trade so much. It'll be interesting. This isn't a sort of set time, but it'll be interesting to see where this comes in because, again, foreign direct investment. This is the kind of stuff you want to see people have confidence in China and money invested in over there because, if the money's invested over there, it's going to create more of a demand for the currency, which will strengthen it up. At the moment, I mean, China's always sort of suffered that. There's very low trust in them. And then, of course, retail sales to finish it off for the month. So, look, this is actually expected to tick down a little bit. So, again, you put it in the plus or the minus sort of category as to, is it hawkish, is it dovish? If this does come in as expected down like this, that's not positive for US dollar. That's actually a little bit of a sort of dovish, more weak US dollar leaning bit of data. Retail sales, I put that about third tier. It's not quite your CPI, NFP kind of sort of stuff, but it on occasion does tend to move the market a little bit. And we've got Empire State Manufacturing, which is still expected a big tick up because that was very weak. Expected a tick up, but still very weak as well. So, it's not really something to be clapping your hands about. These kind of things, if they come in these numbers, you should think would possibly sort of weigh on the US dollar a little bit. Just that sort of like, if people aren't spending, why is that? Because they haven't got money, and they haven't got money because the economy is not really sort of as, I don't like the term tickety-boo, but it's just what comes to mind, as switched on, as kicking as sort of people sort of think. So it would be one in a bit more of the dovish camp. All right, that's it from me.